Muto deliberates for a moment, but since almost nobody seems to pay attention anymore, he gives up and sits down. It's crowded in the hallway, or as crowded as hallways in this school probably get. Most of the students seem to be heading down for the cafeteria.
So, I'm gonna make you a one-time only, super extra special lunch offer. Emi's homemade lunch boxes and the privilege of enjoying them in private with 2 bombshell beauties.
Her overly flirtatious sales pitch echoes in the hallway, a remarkable feat since it's full of people. Emi strikes a very confident-looking pose, as though in an attempt to one-up her own ridiculousness, puffing her very modest chest and making the V for victory sign with her hand. Oh my god, Emi's a Victini. Sounds delicious. To what do I owe the honor of being invited?
You stood there looking really lost and sad, so I thought you could use some company.
That's probably the most depressing reason imaginable.
So how about it? You're probably really lonely and eat that awful cafeteria food all alone otherwise. I'm kidding.
Yeah, sure, I'll have your lunch offer. With pleasure.
Let's go to the roof.
The roof? Why the roof?
Because that's where we eat lunch, mother. And if I don't get up there, then she'll probably wander off, and then I just know she'll go hungry because she never packs a lunch for herself.
Who will?
Come with me.
Without answering my question or waiting for a response, she grabs me by the arm and drags me through the hallways. I attempt to make conversation on the way. Why do you have an extra lunch? Emi smiles guiltily.
Actually, it's yesterday's lunch. I slipped in around at lunch and forgot to eat it.
Huh. The stairway to the roof is a little dilapidated, but it's clearly been used recently. At the top of the stairs is a door complete with a missing padlock. I wonder who the intrepid individual who's... Oh my god. I wonder who the intrepid individual was that removed the lock. Why did that trip me up so bad? Emi shoves the door open and steps beaming into the sunlight. Suddenly, a tall, dark stranger appears out of nowhere, standing imposingly in front of us. Emi flinches back, almost falling back down the stairs. Yee! Hello?
Yaps, you scared me, Rin!
Wait, isn't she... Hello? Noticing that Rin is speaking to me, Emi looks curiously at me.
You two know each other?
I look confusedly at Emi. She's that friend of yours? Rin has turned her gaze towards the clouds drifting above the school. I didn't know you knew this person, Emi. The awkward silence only lasts for a few seconds until Emi lets out a tiny giggle, shrugging the coincidence off.
I invited Sal for lunch. If you know him, that's just better.
Oh, does this mean I don't get food? Or did you invite him for lunch without the lunch?
Neither. I got food for 3.
Nice thinking. They walk to the other end of the roof while I stay at the clock tower for a while, taking in the atmosphere. There's nobody else but us here. I guess the roof isn't as popular as it is in other schools. A few run-down benches and tables are scattered around the edges, perhaps in an attempt to make the rooftop look less desolate. I find it interesting how, at least in Japanese media, it always shows, school roofs always being, with kids on top of them. I don't know, you just never see that, really, in American schools. Maybe you do, and I'm just in a weird area. The small pebbles covering the roof rattle beneath our feet. I peek through the chain-link fence and take a look at the school grounds and beyond. Students are strolling in pairs and groups around the quadrangle and at the cafeteria. A few delivery trucks are driving past the school towards the convenience store nearby. Somewhere a watchdog barks at a passerby. Somehow when I look towards the town center, the small town feel strikes me very strongly, almost palpably. The hectic lifestyle of big metropolises seems so far away and foreign here. Nobody has to run to catch a bus like their life depended on, or to get their senses overloaded by the neon lights and traffic jams. I feel surprisingly optimistic about this new life of mine, looking at my new hometown, even if it's only going to be mine for only one short year. Finding about my illness and having to move away from home all came so suddenly when I haven't had time to think about how I feel about it. When I step out of the shadow of the clock tower to open, I feel the warmth touching my back. The sun shines from a perfectly clear cerulean sky. A cool breeze sweeping over the rooftop makes me shiver, but only briefly. The wind carries the scent of trees and flowers, not smog and car exhaust like it used to just a few weeks ago. Emi settles on a bench with Rin in tow and produces 1 big and 2 small lunchboxes from her bag.
Come on, Sal, what you waiting for?
She's beckoning for me to join them, making room on the already small bench. I seat myself on the corner of the bench to take as little space as possible. It's pretty cramped, but somehow all three of us fit on it. Impressive view. Emi suppresses a giggle and places a lunchbox in front of Rin and hands the lunchbox to me.
Here you go. Lunch as promised.
Homemade, no less. I'm impressed. Wow, this looks really good.
Thanks. I'm making myself when I can.
Conversation dies off as I set about the business of feeding myself. Taking a few bites, I glance up and notice Rin deftly opening the lunchbox and popping a forkful of food into her mouth, only using her feet. Even though I've seen it before, I can't help but be impressed with her dexterity. It's also a reminder of the sort of place I'm in right now. Will I ever get used to sights like this? I can't decide if getting used to such a thing would be a good thing or a bad thing, either. Is getting used to this place meaning I'm giving up on being a normal person? Or does it just mean I'm becoming more understanding about those around me? I'm distracted by my thoughts by the sight of Emi tearing into her lunch as if it had insulted her ancestors. Seemed pretty hungry. Emi looks up, mouth half full, and swallows before nodding.
My morning run always works up an appetite. Which is great, because then I burn through lunch pretty quickly. Helps to keep my girlish figure.
What would happen if you lose it? Would you become a man? I very nearly choke on my lunch, trying not to laugh.
It's a figure of speech.
Does your figure have to run in the mornings too? Do you always talk like that? I think that answers my question. Never mind. So, I'm sure to think of small talk and settle on the obvious question. How'd you two meet? Rin seems content to let Emi answer this question.
Someone on the house and apartment thought we'd complement each other well, so we're assigned rooms next to one another.
Compliment each other? Like shoes and a suit. What? Emi giggles my confusion.
Put us together and we got all our limbs, got it?
Ah.
So I started helping Rin get ready in the mornings, and that was that. I mean, you can't help someone get dressed every morning and not get along.
I see. Rin chooses this moment to interject. I have trouble with shirts. Right, that seems fairly obvious. Really? Kind of? This isn't helping, but at least Emi seems to find the whole thing funny. Then, combined with the fact that Rin is genuinely curious, makes me feel slightly better, and yet confused. I mean, you got no arms. So, putting on a shirt seems like one of those things that would be kind of, difficult. You know what, I'm just gonna stop talking now. It'll save me a lot of trouble in the long run. Rin nods in what I suspect is meant to be a sage manner. I see. The conversation dies as I turn my attention back to lunch. It's really quite good. Emi finishes her lunch first and makes a contented noise.
Ah, that was good!
As she busies herself with cleaning up her lunch, Rin speaks up. I'm thirsty.
Oh, I almost forgot about that. Sorry.
With the floor, she reaches into her bag and removes a trio of juice boxes. She tosses me one that appears to be cranberry juice, one to Rin that appears to be some kind of strawberry milk, complete with a pink color scheme, and keeps an equally pink box of some kind of fruit punch for herself. Rin dexterously stabs her straw through the top of her box and begins to drink. I'm once again impressed by how flexible she is, but this time I keep my comments to myself. Somehow I don't think Emi or Rin are those sorts of people to think twice about the way they work around their particular disabilities. Rin especially so. Indeed, she gives off the impression of being entirely unaware she's missing any limbs at all. Whether or not that's a conscious decision is another matter. I'm honestly not sure.
So, Sal, how do you like it up here?
It's quite nice, actually. I like high places, for the view. Thanks for inviting me up here. And for the lunch, too. Emi grins a 1,000-watt grin, and pleased by my response, I suppose.
No problem! Feel free to eat with us next time, too, okay? I won't make you a lunch, but you can bring your own up here.
No lunch service? I don't know. Emi looks mock offended.
Trying to take advantage of my good nature? The nerve!
She giggles.
Well, if that's your answer, I guess Ren and I will just keep eating lunch all alone.
I'm suddenly assaulted by the most heart-rending puppy dog eyes I've ever seen as Emi pouts. Kidding! I was kidding! I'd love to eat lunch up here again. Good location and the company's okay, too. Emi frowns a bit at my declaration of okay, but seems happy enough I've accepted her invitation. Guess makes us friends now. At least acquaintances. The lunch bell rings, signaling a return downstairs.
Rin, you didn't finish your lunch again.
I wasn't that hungry. If you
don't eat more, you're gonna fade away!
Rin shrugs as if this is an acceptable risk. Come on, we better get going. The three of us head down the stairs together. The afternoon class passes. Once again, I find myself without a plan for something to do after school, so I head to the library to return a couple of the books I finished reading. Walking inside, I see there are about as many students here as there were on Tuesday, all the more evident from the total silence enveloping the room. As I drop the books I'd borrowed in the return slots in the counter, Yuko suddenly pops up from behind it, quite startled from the banging they make as they hit the trolley next to her. Ah, sorry, Yuko. Didn't mean to startle you. No, that's fine. It happens a lot. I'm used to it by now. Can I help you? It's okay. I think I know where everything is. Thanks anyway. I suppose I'll grab another book or two while I'm here. There's not much else to do, and after reading so much during my stay in the hospital, it became a hard habit to break. I wander down to the fiction section towards the back of the library, scanning the bookshelves for anything that catches my eye. As I do, I look over to the corner where Hanako had been the last time I was here, not really expecting anything to come of it. Surprisingly, though, she is there, absorbed completely in a fairly thick book. I decide against intruding on her like last time and get back to finding reading material. After an indiscernible amount of time spent perusing the aisles, I finally decide on a couple of books to get and slide them off the shelf. With a minimum of fuss, I quickly walk over to the counter, check out my books, and pop them into my bag as I walk out. By the time I leave the main building, sunset isn't too far away. A small trickle of students remain, but the majority have left, presumably their homes and dorms. I guess I need to buy some supplies. I can't live off cafeteria food and eating now for my entire stay here. As I leave for the gate, I make a few loud stretches to try to stave off the tiredness that's accumulated over the week. Shorter episode.